My friends, this is the gospel, the good news of the Lord. What is your favorite summer food? Watermelon, ice cream, two good options I heard right off. Someone in the last mass said coleslaw. Okay, I like coleslaw, but I'm with watermelon. I have not appreciated watermelon since I've been back in Tucson since I was a little kid. It is so good here, just the cold on a hot summer day. So, favorite summer food? What would be your ideal summer get-together? What plans would you like to do? Or maybe you have done? Who would you want it to be with? What would you do? Hopefully these are some practical questions. Perhaps you've already had a good summer meal, a good summer experience. Or this could be a prompting to make it happen. Take advantage of these days of summer. And not only that, a nice summer event, but it's a means of spirituality. It could be a possible encounter with God. That's right, getting together with family or friends, even meeting new people, affords you an opportunity to encounter with another and with God. This is the reading of Genesis. We hear about Abraham. Last week, it was told how he invited strangers in and provided hospitality. Genesis said, Abraham, when he saw the strangers, he invited them to his place and said, let me bring you a little food that you may refresh yourselves. And afterwards, then you may go on your journey, knowing the desert journey is tiresome. This is a beautiful description of hospitality. He said, the food will refresh his guests. It'll refresh you for the journey. As a little aside, our Dominican dining rooms are called a place of refreshment. The refectory, it's a formal name. Maybe our big Dominican houses, we could have like 100 people in a house, and the dining hall, the refectory, but it means a Latin word, to be refreshed. Even our life of prayer is beautiful, but it also could be tiring. We study, but students know studying is good, but it could be tiring. Preaching community is good, but it also could be tiring. You need to be refreshed. That's a beautiful invitation. Once again, a meal provided could be a means of refreshment. That could be an intention for your meal, for kind of nice times together. Maybe if you get together with your Catholic or Christian friends, to pray a nice prayer before a meal. But sometimes you bring friends over that are not Catholic or not Christian and they feel awkward praying. So make that intention, this is my suggestion, even ahead of time. Pray over the meal. Lord, I prepare this food, I prepare this encounter, I prepare this experience, or just even going out and do something with your friends. I'll say to my friends, someone's going to the movie today, go out to the movie. Allow this movie to be a place of refreshment for us. A little experience that's kind of let go of all the troubles and to be refreshed. That's what happened with Abraham, but even more so, his guests intentionally blessed Abraham and his wife. Said, we are going to offer you a blessing. God's going to work amazing ways in your life. And Abraham and his wife, they kind of laughed at the idea. They're like, really? I don't see that's possible. They didn't understand how God's going to bless them. They were having difficulties, and they didn't trust God's blessing. And that can kind of resonate. I don't know about you, but usually I don't see the blessings as they're happening. It's like going through, maybe you're just having a fun summertime, or you're going through difficulties. How is this a blessing? Going through these difficulties, how is this a blessing? But God draws blessings out of good times and difficulties, challenges. That is the life of faith. To be able to see God's work, God's grace in the midst of it. Finally seeing that, that's why Abraham, for the Jewish people and Christian Catholics alike, we call Abraham our father in faith, because he was more and more able to be led by faith and finally see that blessing. Trust God's blessing will flow. Maybe not knowing how that'll happen, but trusting God. That's the life of faith. But something today in the reading even more profound happens. In the midst of this, Abraham's walking his guests out. It said he is walking with them to see them on their way. I imagine he's kind of walking down the road with them, get them started on their journey. Probably the equivalent to if they had a car, they get in their car, he walks them out to the car, they're driving down the street and he's waving goodbye. Goodbye to your guests. You know that feeling? He's sitting there. So he's waving his guests goodbye. And Genesis says, in the midst of that, Abraham was standing before the Lord. Now, once again, Abraham's like unsure about the blessings, how that will unfold. But Abraham had faith that the Lord was present to him. He stood before the Lord. He saw the Lord standing before him. And then we hear that story, how he pours out his heart and is like, Lord, what are you going to do? In fact, God was going to punish this city. And he's pleading for the people. And kind of in this funny way that we heard, is like, you really going to do that? And Abraham starts pleading. In fact, if you know the backstory, it's because he has a family member in that city. And so he starts pouring out his heart before the Lord who is present to him. This is a posture of prayer. He brings himself before the Lord. He allows the Lord to be present to him. Perhaps as an invitation for us to bring our summer experiences, our summer get-togethers, our summer activities before the Lord. Let me just offer a suggestion, kind of in a summary, what this might look like. All right, this is summer. You do whatever you like. You do your own events. Do how you like. But this is how I would do it. Plan an event. Connect with people. You know, people you were thinking of connecting with. And like, take that advantage and do it. Or accept the invitation from someone else. Then as you prepare for the event, make time to kind of center yourself. I forgot to mention, part of that is making a little time every day. Last week we said prayer should feel like some deep breathing. Take time to breathe and allow God to be present to you, to receive God's grace. Father John Paul said, breathe all the way down in your diaphragm. Have that peace. I know a couple that are very hospitable. People love coming over to their house. Even their family and friends that are not Catholic anymore, they still love them, the hospitality. And they're like, boy, I have to say that's a good example of being a Catholic, just seeing them. And you know, they told me they didn't always have that non-anxious presence, a place that's very hospitable at their house. They said they'd always do the same. They'd always go to morning mass and do a rosary. But prayer over the last decades has become more centering, made them more peaceful. And they're able to take some time to pray, to breathe deeply in that way. And the rest of the day, when their family members come over, that they're able to provide a place of peace for them, a place of refreshment, and they draw others. So that's my suggestion. Take a little time to pray for yourself, that you be centered. And so when you engage in the activities and you meet up with friends or do anything the rest of the day, you're centered at peace, and then you're able to what? That invitation last week, breathe and then listen. Engage in the events and listen deeply. Listen to others. Listen to their experiences. Pay attention to what is being shared. I always preach to myself when I say that. You know, when you're hanging out, it's like, don't talk so much, listen. Listen twice as much as you talk. Listen to others. And finally, take some time to reflect on it. I did it this week, you know, and shared with others. Came back so late, I was too tired, I went to bed. But next morning, reflected on it the next morning. I was like, wow, that was a really nice sharing yesterday, last night. That was a beautiful sharing. I just reflected over and placed myself before the Lord. Lord, here's what I saw. In that event, when I shared with them, it was like, I saw this, I saw that. Think of the people's face, think of their name. And I've come to realize there's even special gestures. When someone was talking in that encounter, they were sharing kind of what their joys are. You see something special in them, bring that before the Lord. Name a blessing that you saw. And maybe even in sharing, kind of shared frustrations, shared pains, names, if you see anything in someone else, name that to the Lord. Lord, help them in this area. Bring those encounters before the Lord. I found just doing that, it brings back this source of grace and blessing, even for myself, and praying for the other people. This is what Abraham did in his gesture. He was promised a blessing, but in bringing himself before the Lord, he pleaded for others. He prayed for others and shared that blessing with others. I guess we could say in summary, Abraham has been a blessing to all nations. Even us, we're still reflecting on him centuries after. He's a blessing for others. That is your invitation. Have some fun in the summertime. Have some fun events. But in the midst of whatever you're doing, invite the Lord there. Invite the Lord in your activity, in what you're delighting in doing. The Lord can be present to you and unfold his blessings. Finally, here we are in this Mass, invited around the altar. The Lord offers hospitality to you. The church is a place where you are called to come and receive the Lord's hospitality from this altar. As this altar provides us with the blessings, we don't maybe quite see how it unfolds, but we have an opportunity to place ourselves before the Lord who is present to us. As we see the Eucharist today, let us take that opportunity to see the Lord is present before us, and we are filled with his Eucharist that flows from this Eucharist. Amen.